Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and people who care for chickens are literally chicken tenders. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Keep Driving. Thanks for clicking on my video, and if you're wondering why to stick around, perhaps it's because I'm one of the few reviewers out there who can help you figure out if you need a game in 10 minutes or less. Don't believe me? Then stick around and find out. But it could also be because of the funny one-liner jokes at the start of each video. Disclaimer, some jokes may be repeated. Alright then, so this game was developed by YCJY Games and published by them too. Released not in early access and selling for $18. So what even is this game anyway? Well, it's pretty simple. You're a young man, or woman, depending on which you choose, who wants to go visit their sibling on the other side of the map, or to a festival or something. Unclear if it's across the country or the state or whatever. Regardless, you basically want to go for a long drive and explore the world. That's pretty much the gist of the whole shebang here. Now, good luck. And that's pretty much it for the plot. So, as always, let's go into the good and the bad, followed by my final thoughts, alright? By the way, I don't like that title screen at the beginning. Just wanted to point that out. I thought it was kind of lackluster. Did not set me up for the rest of this. But, anyway, the first good thing that I saw, or sorry, rather heard, was the sound design. Literally, upon opening the game, I was legit impressed by how realistic it sounded. It almost sounded like I was just waiting around at the DMV or something. It just sounded really good, and that trend continues throughout the game. They use legit music on the radio to keep you entertained, the sound effects sound super realistic, and there's even great ambiance. No voice acting though, but of course I guess that's to be expected, and honestly, I don't even mind. But overall, the sound design was really good here. Next up for the positives is the user interface and the stability. For me, the stability was perfect. The game ran nice and smooth with no glitches or breaks or bugs or anything like that, which of course improved my overall gaming experience. Another thing I liked but don't really think requires its own point is the immersion in the game. It does a great job of sucking you in and getting you invested really quickly, which is always a good sign. As for the user interface, it's grungy, it's kind of realistic, it fits, it makes sense, it doesn't seem odd or awkward or weird, it's not hard to navigate, it's not hard to understand, and it makes sense, which is a good thing to always have in games like this. It's very easy to mess up the user interface, and they didn't do that here. It all works and looks exactly the way you would want it to. The next thing that I'd like to talk about is the gameplay. As far as I can tell, there was nothing really negative I could say about the gameplay that I discovered. It's as simple as this. I mean, you ever played Oregon Trail? Think of this as the modern day Oregon Trail and not even remotely a downgrade or a ripoff or a spinoff. I mean, it does a fantastic job of simulating the exact same feel from that classic game, but for a more modern take. I mean, it's not quite like that game, but it's similar enough that you get the same feels from it. You travel from town to town, gas station to gas station, encountering plot points or people or quests or whatever along the path that require your attention. You'll unlock skills to help deal with the threats and problems, and you can find or purchase items to help you with these problems as well. You also need to maintain the status quo by buying food to satiate your hunger, soap to keep you clean, and passive items that you store in your car that will help you in other ways. Like, for instance, you sleep in your car and whenever you need to rest because you're low on energy, and you'll wake up cold. But if you buy a sleeping bag and you keep that in your car, it gives you a passive of never waking up cold again. So you can get tons of stuff like that, all of them that help you in a lot of different ways that could end up being useful later on down the road that you might not have even thought about. Along with all that, you can customize your car from the type of car in the beginning to decorations later on, or even the color of the car. You can upgrade your car with different attachments that you feel might be helpful, such as extra storage space or help against certain events or other negative outcomes. I mean, there's a lot here to explore and experience and lots of ways to deal with it. The gameplay does a great job of keeping you engaged no matter what you're doing, and you have lots of stuff to manage besides your character's basic needs. Like, you also need to worry about dangers at night, or about the car's durability, or your gas, and other stuff. There's just a lot to do here and focus on, and there's a lot of interesting stuff here, and it'll lead me into my next positive point, the player retention. So the player retention, this game was weirdly addictive. It was drawing me in, making me want to keep pushing forward more and more, trying harder and harder, like I didn't want to stop playing. As the journey got longer, I found myself needing more money, and so I started doing odd jobs and gambling, as well as selling things I previously needed to buy new things that I currently needed, all while enjoying the open road and going on my adventure. But it's the addictive quality, the retention, there's something about it. The game just held my attention and made me want to keep playing, almost to the point that I didn't even want to get off to do this review, and I actually lost track of time. I mean, this is a great thing for a game like this to have. It was just so many things that I had to focus on and think about, all while I was just kind of enjoying the overall feel of what I was doing. Like everything was working the way you wanted it to work. Everything was making sense. And it's a weird way of just keeping you invested, which is always great for something like this. And last but not least is the price tag. Not even 20 bucks for a game that could entertain you for quite a while. I didn't play for long, sure, but still, I could tell this is a game that could be a lot of fun and take a decent amount of time to get through with multiple playthroughs. It might not be an 8-hour game per se, but it's definitely fun and replayable. And when you think about everything this game gives you and everything it offers, I mean, it's definitely worth its price tag. In other words, it's not ripping you off. And that's all I got to say positively about the game. Now we got to go on to the negatives, but before that, have you hit the subscribe button yet? I'd encourage you to do so and join my royal guard. It's a high honor after all. Also, it might be a good idea for you to hit that bell. See, I review all types of games at all types of random times, and you never know when I might review something that you've been missing out on your whole life. So if you hit that bell, it'll tell you whenever I post something new. So hit the bell and stay informed, alright? Alright. Okay, so now we got to go into the negatives. I suppose the first negative I have is that there's a lack of certain things that would make the game a bit easier to understand and navigate. Some items or buttons have tooltips telling you what they are and what they do, while others don't, and makes you a little frustrated. It's a little confusing. Some hitchhikers and some skills of yours seem pretty useless and not really worth anything, making them completely pointless. And some stats also don't make any sense at all. Game tells you that you're hungry, so you eat the only food available, junk food. But then, because of this, you end up getting a negative status effect. Sorry about that. That seems unreasonable and fair. So I guess you could say the overall player ease of access, depending on the game, is a bit imbalanced. I'm sorry, I'm lacking in a better way to say it. I just woke up. But it's just harder on the player than it needed to be, and in a more confusing kind of way. Like, there doesn't need to be this many unknowns. And last but not least, for the negatives, is that it can get a bit predictable and boring at times. I mean, the game does do a good job of trying to keep the player invested and engaged, but at the same time, it is an awful lot of just driving, sitting there staring at nothing, as well as a lot of the events are repeated, and it's almost kind of the same thing over and over again. There needs to be more diversity, more randomness to the events that happen to you, so it's a little bit more realistic, but... And for some people, the whole slow driving, sitting there thing might be a turnoff and they might find it rather boring. I personally didn't, but I can understand why some people might see that this might not be something they want to partake in. But that's all I can really say negatively about the game. I don't even want to touch on the graphics because I like pixelated games, and I think this is a great way to create a great game with lots of mechanics and time without wasting space on graphics that don't need to be there and don't need to be awesome for something like this. But overall, I really like the game. I was honest when I said it gives the same basic gameplay feel and gameplay experience as Oregon Trail. It's very engaging, it's fun, it's new and different and unique, it's interesting, and it's not asking for an extreme amount of money. It's a lot of fun just driving around and experiencing all the real-life issues that come with driving across country, and you can even pick up hitchhikers, and they add new skills to your ability to defend yourself from plots as well as dialogue. The customizing of your car and upgrading it, scavenging random cars or abandoned buildings along the way. I mean, honestly, the game was giving me almost everything I wanted from it, and the only thing that would make it even better for me was if it was in a post-apocalyptic world. That'd be cool. I mean, there doesn't even have to be zombies, just scavenging and surviving in your car. In other words, I think this game is definitely worth its asking price. I definitely think it's worth your time, and I encourage anyone even remotely interested in the game to give it a chance and try it out. You won't be disappointed. Just know what you're getting into, alright? This isn't a fast-paced game. It's a slow-paced, immersive survival sim, basically, alright? Alright, so that's all the time I got for this video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.